ARMA is very pleased to bring you a series of interviews with some of the presenters at the ARMA InfoCon 2019. This year, we've reimagined the conference from ground up to help you strategically protect and extract value from your organization's information, an event that is both distinctly ARMA and incredibly modern. I'm Janet Ruhala Johnson, CRM, in Global Records and Information Management at Ernst & Young LLP. I'm one of the volunteers working with ARMA to help put on this year's conference, and I have the honor of interviewing one of the top leaders in the information profession. Today I'm interviewing Mary Beth Weaver, MLS, CRM, PMP, and Vice President, DC Services from Cadence Group. Mary Beth Weaver has over 19 years of professional experience as a records and information management consultant, providing expertise in electronic records cleanup, FOIA, records management, hotline and docket supervision, records facility storage, and project management. Serving as the Vice President with the Cadence Group, Ms. Weaver oversees a portfolio of federal records management and library contracts, and she serves as a RIM consultant to commercial clients. Mary Beth, thank you so much for joining us today. Your presentation that you have chosen is the topic of digital hoarding and tips on cleaning out the cyberclutter. Mary Beth, this profession keeps evolving. What skills and information governance professionals, what skills do they need in the 2020s and beyond?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. I think a lot of times what we're going to say, and quite rightly so, that we need to focus on more technological skills. But I also think it's incredibly important to focus in on our marketing, outreach, and communication skills. Because as more and more things become technological, we have less and less control over it. I don't see people's emails. I don't necessarily see everybody's share drives even. And so I have to convince others of the importance of records management so that they will take the action necessary to keep our program, to keep the records management program effective and sound. So I think a fair amount of marketing, salesmanship, the ability to speak or to speak at all levels, at the user level, at the executive level, to convince people of the importance of records management and how to deploy it is going to become increasingly important.
Excellent. Those are skills that we don't always think of. Information breaches seem rampant nowadays. Name 2 things organizations must do to stop the threat.
Wow. I think we're all shuddering in our shoes on this one because it's not just if you're going to be breached, it's maybe when. Records management and cybersecurity should work hand in hand. We should make sure our relationship is very much together because we need to work together. One of the ways records management can do that is that we can help organize the material. Once it's all organized and it's known, it's much easier to protect something from leaving the door if you know it exists and you know how to access it, and you know that there's no zombie technology or dark data out there that can come back and surprise an organization. So that's certainly one thing to actually deploy and deploy defensible deletion and make sure that the records are organized, particularly the cyber records. Secondly, I do think that we need to prioritize the risk of records as far as its releasability, risk to the organization, risk to the individuals. We want to protect everything, but we may have to protect certain things more. And so working together with cybersecurity to help prioritize what needs that extra more, what absolutely cannot leave, what we absolutely must access is going to become increasingly important as well.
Terrific, good advice. Information governance covers so much. You hit on so many of the related topics. What topic or domain do you feel is underutilized in organizations?
Wow. I think the ones getting the most attention are the ones that can hit the agencies the hardest. And because there's Privacy Act laws, that's starting to get more of a attention to it. And because of the cybersecurity, the security aspects are getting attention. I think perhaps the actual defensible deletion portion of it is sometimes ignored, particularly when companies want data lakes, or they want to know what they can leverage more out of on information. So I believe some of the more traditional records management life cycle is one that's maybe less funded. And I've actually heard people in the records management profession say, another reason for teaming with cybersecurity is because that's where the money is.
Okay, great, thank you. And this is a good one. I truly believe and have seen that you have a great amount of experience in this field. But have you ever thought of this? Do you have any career regrets?
It's for the most part, no. My dad likes to say that everybody has the I should have taken this job, and that when you're in the midst of everything, you think, man, I should have done this instead. And there are times where I think, wow, I should have been on the fiction desk of a public library. All I have to do is tell people what to read. You like this person? Go to this person. But for the most part, I've been very lucky because I can vary my experiences. And, there's times where you don't want to do the strategic thinking. You just want to clean up the database. You just want to get into the database and clean it up. And there's other times where you're like, man, if I have to clean up another data set, I'm going to go out of my mind. I want to do the big picture. And so it's nice to have a lot of variety in the job, and records and information management does allow that.
Yes, I completely agree. We certainly have a lot of variety. Okay. Attracting a new generation of future leaders is a big part of growing any profession. How would you advise a young person to prepare for a job in the information profession today?
Well, that's a good question. I think they need to look at information from all aspects, not just the topology or the structure, the IT kind of information, but to look at all of the aspects. Information governance is such a huge thing. And they need to open themselves up to all of the possibilities, all the ramifications. Do they want to be a data operator? Do they want to be more of a cybersecurity expert? Do they want to become the privacy or the declassification review, the FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act reviewer? There's so much. So maybe not to close their mind to it, but to actually look at all the different animals, not animals, but avenues, excuse me, that they can take, and just be open to the possibilities.
Great. And Mary Beth, you've got a session coming up at ARMA InfoCon 2019. What is it that you're speaking on, and what do you think people will take away from this session?
Well, I'm doing a rapid fire, which is always a challenge because you have 10 minutes to make your impact and then go away. I'm talking about digital hoarding and the concern of too much junk being on our shared drives, on our servers, even on our desktops, and it can, unlike physical clutter where you can actually see the effects and you can sometimes smell the effects of having too much things and junk, you can sometimes ignore the digital clutter, but it can really impact your program. It can it can paralyze you. It can make it harder to make decisions. It can make it harder to find things. And it can also, of course, make it easier for security encroaches, as we discussed before. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the difference between, what makes a digital hoarding, what are some reasons why people digitally hoard, and then maybe some ways to try to prevent that, or to, once you found you're in a situation where too much is being held, how do you clean it up in 10 minutes?
Right, that is a task. Okay, Mary Beth, thank you so much for taking the time to share with our readers. Again, from Cadence, Mary Beth Weaver from Cadence Group will be presenting as a part of ARMA InfoCon 2019. Learn more or register for the conference at www.arma.org/infocon.
Thank you very much.